Well, good afternoon and welcome once again to another one of our streamcasts at Forget Me Not Village, changing the way we view and treat dementia care. I'm Brian, your host, and we are with Pam Spetta, the founder, the brainchild, the energy, the force behind Forget Me Not Village, a revolutionary way to treat dementia care. And big news coming out of Pam's home base. I almost said compound. That wouldn't sound right. But Pam, you've had an incredible week. We're going to talk about some amazing things coming up in your future. But before we start talking about the big news and the big things we want to talk about, just give us a little snapshot of what the last couple of weeks have been like for you.
Oh my goodness, like swimming with the alligators is all I gotta say. This home remodel and stuff has just been huge, and getting people to work is even huger. But Home Depot stepped up and donated flooring for us. So as soon as we get the painting done, we can get the flooring in and then we can get our first families in. So it's really, really exciting. The Parkinson's class is going like crazy. They're using the pool, they're swimming before class, they're swimming after class. It's just a lot of activity, a lot of fun stuff going on. And actually, we see you here, Brian, and your beautiful wife boxing away. And doesn't it feel good? Isn't it a lot of fun?
Yeah, absolutely. To give up the big secret, when we did when we did the episode where Greg and Robin were practicing with Jim and Sandy and doing the rock steady boxing, I thought, I don't have Parkinson's, but I'm getting about 50 and I need to get out there and get a little more activity. I loved watching all the benefits of that sparring activity and thought balance, core, cardio, hand-eye coordination, muscle, all that stuff. I need all that. And so, yeah, we've been down there a lot and it's been a lot of fun. And I've been able to see the way that Greg and Robin work with Sandy and Jim and other folks that are in there punching away and doing their work. And it's actually inspirational to see them because they are doing everything in their power to fight back against Parkinson's and to take back some of what the disease has claimed from them. And if they are in there doing that, I definitely need to be in there doing that. And you just never know. Obviously, I'm just as susceptible as anybody else potentially to the disease and to various, brain conditions that are out there. So, heck, but it's just a lot of fun, Pam. And so, thanks for the inspiration for us to get in there and see your place too, by the way.
It really and truly is. I had read about it, I had watched it on video, but when you're up and close with someone that has, the freezing part of Parkinson's where you're walking and all of a sudden you can't move, you just freeze up, and help them through that, talk them through that so they don't collapse and fall kind of thing. And to see them come in, with a cane because they can barely move, but walk out without it. I mean, it's like amazing, absolutely amazing what this program can do for your balance, for your coordination, like you said, all of those things. And it is fun to do. And you've really had an incredibly good workout by the time we're done. So,
yeah. I think I lost 2 pounds the other day. I went home and weighed myself. I'm like, wow. So that means I need to do that 40 more times to get down to my ideal weight.
Yeah. Somebody told me this thing about, muscle replacement, with fat, but no, I don't believe that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have today, normally we have guests. Today is kind of an unusual opportunity for people. If you'd like, you can ask Pam all the questions that you would like if you want to write them in the chat. So today we're going to talk about a trip she has coming up. That's just an amazing thing. And as we talk about that, but if you have questions for Pam, just in general on dementia, on Parkinson's, on her classes, on what to do, any of those things, please put them in the chat and we will engage with you there. Now, if you just want to see Pam's story and figure out who this Pam Speta person is, you can go to forgetmenotVillage.org and watch a video that depicts the story, the tragic story, the inspirational story of Pam and Rich Speta. You can see exactly what is motivating Pam to do all the things that she's doing for people she doesn't even know right now. And it is inspirational. It's very cool. And Forget Me Not Village is working toward a large campus just south of Roseburg that is certainly in the planning and funding stages. And so we want to direct your attention to that if you so want to choose to make a donation or help in any way. But in the meantime, you have the house that you're in that will actually be the suite for 2 couples and an opportunity for you to really showcase all of these things you've been talking about in a way that can be different, a totally different way to approach dementia care, and just give people just a little sample if they're brand new to finding out about what you're doing. How do you describe in, let's say, 60 seconds, Pam? I'm going to challenge you. In 60 seconds, how do you describe where you're at right now and the plan for that building?
Okay. The plan for the building is based solely on my experience that I went through with my husband, Rich. I work full-time and I care for him at home. And I can tell you it is the hardest job in the whole wide world to maintain both of those positions because you really don't get all night sleep. There's a lot of problems that happen, particularly dementia safe. They can get out and wander and walk off, which he did do. So what this house is going to do, it's going to give families 24/7 support in the form of each other. So in other words, when I created this little village, it is with the caregiver in mind as well as the resident, because the caregiver really suffers from post-traumatic stress. This is such a difficult job to do as caregiver, and it doesn't make any difference if it's your parents, your husband, your kids, or whatever the situation is. It is a very, very difficult job to watch someone you love deteriorate in that manner. So what we've done with this village is we've provided outlets for both the spouse and the caregiver so that they can get the best of the best of the best all the time without breaking them financially, which is what happens when you put these guys in a care home. And all the articles that have been coming out lately about the use of psychotropic drugs and that type of thing, and they are really used for the wrong reasons in these care homes. You know, if someone is disruptive in any way, you know, be it, you know, they're following, you know, the staff around, or they're not going to sleep. It's just like Jim White said in one of the previous podcasts, their job is basically just to put them down and make them quiet. And I saw it firsthand. I know what happens even here in Roseburg. And I was appalled. I was appalled at that treatment because it was just not called for. Yeah. So my care home is more about handling the situations, making everything look really normal as possible. We have the gym for working out. We have the pool. We have massage. We have healing qigong for, you know, stress management. We have, you know, we're going to buy some of these bicycles that are for 2. So you can bicycle and ride around the area. You know, we're across from the airport, and just watching the planes sometimes is a lot of fun to do. So, I mean, we'll have a lot of activities and a whole lot of stuff going on here that's going to help the family stay together as a family and survive. And basically let the wife be the wife, or let the husband be the husband, but knowing they're getting the best care possible because it's provided by the one who loves them. So.
That's great. I wanted to show the way that we're sort of presenting the place that you're at right now as Forget Me Not Village Mini, 2 suites, spouses who live together and can learn and just do this in a very different way. So you can find out more at forgetmenotVillage.org and contact Pam that way as well. Okay, Pam, big news for you, an incredible trip coming up. Let's talk about Hogeweyk Village in Amsterdam and what is happening with you and how you got to be part of what will be probably, I would say, a bucket list type thing for you, I would think.
just another on that bucket list. But several months ago, I had contacted Amsterdam, Hogeweyk there. It is the first dementia facility in the Netherlands where they treat dementia patients like they need to be treated like they're humans. They have quality of life up until just days before they pass away. And of course, my concept is based the same way. I reached out to them and we had, oh my gosh, hours and hours and hours of conversation. And when I told them what I was doing here, oh my gosh, they said, we need you here. We have so many families dealing with dementia that are being cared for by their family members and having so much trouble. We need your concept here in the Netherlands. So I received an invitation earlier this month to fly there with some friends that I choose to go with me, and they've all actually been on my program. We're going together to see firsthand how they handle quality of life at truly the end of life of dementia. And then they, in turn, I will give them what I know, because the last conversation we had with them about a week ago was that the Netherlands has a growing problem of younger onset Alzheimer's, which means we're talking about 40 and 50-year-olds. And he said to me, he said, there is more and more of them that we have to take care of. He said, they come to us and they're perfectly healthy. It's just their brain is no longer functioning the way it should. He said, so we have challenges on how to handle the influx of additional people and how to treat them actively, how to treat them for their age group, because they're not ready for Jeopardy or tossing a ball in the air or even bingo. They need stuff that's more active. So I'm taking what I'm doing here there. They're going to try and implement it. It's a little different there. They have to go through their government to implement anything. But I'm going there to teach them how I am going to run our village here. And he in turn is teaching us on how they handle dementia with dignity. So I'm just super, super excited because he wrote us a letter to be able to come into the Netherlands because you can only enter it for business purposes. And the first line of the letter said that my visit to the Netherlands was of significant impact on the Dutch economy, which really sums it up. This is what I have been saying all along. What we have been doing with these care homes is basically throwing mud on a wall and hoping it sticks. You know, we need to fix the solution. We need to keep from going bankrupt, from, you know, personal bankrupt to the state and federal bankruptcy, having to pay for all of these 10, 12, 14, 18, $20,000 a month care homes that are out there that, you know, I mean, there is, are you going to be able to play a little clip of that, of the village?
Yeah, I was starting to load it up a little bit, but I was afraid it was going to start playing before we wanted it to. So I'm kind of watching that off to the side. But yeah, CNN did quite a feature on this and the significance of the methodology and the philosophy. Yeah, would you like me to go to that?
Yeah, go to that because that explains an awful lot.
Let's do that. Let me make sure that it's going to load now, of course, in that key moment.
I'm here in the Netherlands, specifically in a little village called Hogeweyk. For the last 4 years, there's been this grand experiment happening here. You see, in this village, all the residents dementia. We don't talk about dementia very much. Consider the world, the developed world, 65 million people are expected to have dementia by the year 2030. Close to 100 million just 20 years after that. And what to do with all these people with dementia? In many parts of the world, they're ignored. They live in these nondescript buildings on anonymous wards, lots of white coats, non-stop television, and hardly anything but sedation. But what if their wards could look something like this? Entire villages dedicated to people with dementia.
Yeah, so really amazing really amazing. You can find that if you search on YouTube and just search CNN Amsterdam dementia on YouTube, you will find it. You can try to spell, as he called it, Hogeweyk. You'll learn how to say it correctly. You're going to come back and say, Brian, we've been saying it wrong the whole time.
I am sure of that.
Hogeweyk, dementiavillage.com. You can see that there. But if you want to find that on YouTube and you punch that up, you will come close. I think you'll be able to find it on YouTube. So that's pretty amazing. So how does, in addition to the fact that you're basically being invited there as an emissary, I mean, as an ambassador for this to the Dutch government, this is incredible. What does it mean to see this in action somewhere as a confirmation to all of the things that you either want to do or will work?
Absolutely. That is what it's all about. I mean, I could sit there on a YouTube forever and never get the feel of how these people feel. It's all about feeling purpose in life, not feeling that you're being confined, you're pulled away from your family. There's depression, there's all the things that go along with separating families at a very time when the person being separated doesn't understand it and has a real hard time coping with their new surroundings. Well, that's the reason why a lot of these care homes are using these psychotropic drugs to get them used to the care home, which really all it's doing is just dumbing them down. Every time I go into these care homes, because I'm a trained dementia trainer with Teepa Snow, I know what to look for, but most people don't. In one case, in dementia, what happens is you lose the agility in your hand. So what that means is these first three fingers are the ones we write with, the ones we pull zippers up and down. These are our agile things. These are things that we use all the time. These last two fingers are strength. So this strength stays there for a long, long time. And what I saw happen between Rich and another individual is, how guys would arm wrestle, trying to get one arm down the other. Well, because strength is one of the things they still have control on, these two guys started with a handshake and they used their strength fingers to see who could be the strongest. So they were kind of like pushing back and forth, trying to see, who was the strongest. And the caregiver came running up and go, oh my God, they're fighting. We got to do something about it. Well, the minute I heard that, I thought, okay, we got to get Rich out of here. So I took Rich home with me that night, came back the next day, and the guy that was fighting with him, which really wasn't fighting, was in a wheelchair, drooling, hanging on to a teddy bear. And I knew darn good and well that if I had walked away and left Rich there, he'd have been in that condition in the morning when I got in. And I thought, how wrong is this? They were playing a game. They were laughing. They were obviously in competition with one another. And to have it treated like that is just wrong, just absolutely wrong. So, I think that was one of the things that kind of pushed me into what I'm doing, aside from bringing him home from the ER because he put his head through the wall. Other than that, minor. All these things that happened that because of my training, I knew wasn't right. And I just finished the adult foster home licensing thing. And, they talk about don't give psychotropics, just because you're shorthanded and that kind of stuff. But I have been in so many care homes where that is the case. And they call it schizophrenia, or they'll say the family where they're violent and that type of stuff. And the family can't verify it because they weren't there. So it's just like, it's wrong. The way we treat dementia from beginning to end is wrong in this country. And what I'm going to do is I'm bringing in this back to the States. What I find in the Netherlands, I'm bringing back to the States. I was already doing it before I'm going, but I'm going to bring their information, their knowledge back, and their support back, which is really, really huge. They've been doing it now, I think, since 2006. And they have some difficult conversations with the families because families don't understand the progress of dementia. I talked a bit about what happens when they fall in their village and break a hip. And the doctors just simply give them a very straight evaluation of that. You know what the prognosis is. You can go to the hospital, but this is what's going to happen. And boy, I see that all the time here. I have one of the residents that was coming in that just died of a fractured hip that never came out of the hospital. So it's like, it's global. And like he said, you know, I said earlier, it's getting younger and younger and younger. And we are not equipped to handle that. As I said, previously, when I first started doing all this, probably 7, 8 years ago, it was 1 out of every 4 families were affected. Now it's 1 out of every 3. And it's like, those are pretty cotton picking bad odds in my book. And if we don't fix it, I certainly don't want to be put in one of those care homes. You might as well take me out in the South 40 and just push me off a cliff or something, because I don't want to be treated like that. You know, I just don't want to be drugged up because somebody doesn't like what I'm doing. Because Lord knows, I spent my whole life doing stuff people don't like what I'm doing. So it's like, for sure. But it is super, super important that we change, that we have a cultural change. And it is happening, but it's happening very slowly. And we need to step that up. We need to show people that you can stay together as a family. You don't have to have caregiver burnout. You know, they can have quality of life, but with the understanding you do die from dementia eventually. If nothing else gets you, it's the dementia. And that's where these young people are at a disadvantage. Because if you're in your 80s, yeah, heart attack, stroke, you know, all that kind of good stuff. But if you're young, like Rich was, and you're healthy like he was, never took drugs, no high blood pressure, no arthritis, nothing, picture of health, the dementia is what killed him. Because your body just, you know, Lewy body is awful because you're constantly moving until probably about 8 hours before he died. And that was only because, you know, they had to give him drugs to calm him down so he could rest. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is GenSight. GenSight is a DNA test that you do from a cheek swab, so it's nothing bad. Costs absolutely nothing if you're on Medicare. And what it does is it tells the doctors what your sensitivity to drugs are. So right now, when you go into the doctor's office, one of the very first drugs you'll get is one called Seroquel. And Seroquel is definitely a no-no for people with dementia. It's even a warning on the information in the packet not to give someone with dementia. It was that Seroquel that Rich was incredibly sensitive to that threw him into more violence. So, you know, when you get more violent, then there's more Seroquel, and then there's more violence, and there's more Seroquel, because Lewy body reacts differently to drugs than any other dementia out there. So, I asked a doctor here in town that did that for a patient, and I said, you should probably do this DNA test first to see if he's sensitive to it. And his reply to me was, well, AMA says it's not any good, so therefore I'm not going to do it. And I'm thinking, the test is free. The results are really, really complete as far as everything from anesthesia to antipsychotics, all those types of drugs that, you know, they'll just give to you, carte blanche across the board to everybody. And it tells you sensitivity. And it was that drug test that kept Rich on the final days. The hospice came in and wanted to give him Haldol. Haldol was one of the worst drugs he could have possibly taken, according to this DNA test, because he would have gone exceptionally violent. Probably one of us would have gone out the balcony. He definitely would not have gotten into an ambulance. But because I could prove that his sensitivity to Haldol was there, they found another alternative for him to calm him down. So, I mean, I don't understand why. If it were me and I were a doctor, I'd want every tool in my toolbox there so that I could help you with the most knowledge possible. So why they won't do it, I have absolutely no clue. Because I did it for myself, and every drug in there that they said I couldn't do, guess what? I already knew I couldn't do those drugs. But then I don't have dementia, at least not yet. But yeah, so they wouldn't do it. But it is out there. It's called GenSight, GenSight. And you do need a doctor or a nurse practitioner to prescribe it because the results are medical results. So Yeah. And they do not use antipsychotic drugs in Amsterdam. They have found that they can, by giving them quality of life, that these people don't need the drugs, and they can reduce the drugs anywhere. He said when they come in, they're anywhere from 10 to 15 drugs these people are on. He can reduce them down to about 3 to 5 at the most. And that would include like diabetes and that type of stuff. So there's got to be something to this. If you can reduce the use of drugs, if you can give them quality of life, if you can explain to the family what the processes are in dementia and what happens, and then have very frank talks about what end of life is. And I think all those things in combination are necessary in order to be able to go through this disease and survive it. Care partner and caregiver, for sure. So I'm excited for them to invite me to come. Oh my goodness, I'm like in seventh heaven. So yes. Dr. Wright, who is the physician that we had on the program from the East Coast, he is coming. Debbie Savage, that was here last week, she's going. And Shelley Edwards from Positive Approach to Care with Deepa Snow is coming. So we are all on our way in 2 weeks. And don't anybody get around me with COVID, because I've had the shots, but nothing's messing up this trip come heck or high water, let me tell you. I'm going.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing how that goes. Obviously, I think you're going to be unstoppable when you come back, from as if you are now. But I can't even. We won't be able to contain you.
I hope not.
We'll talk strategy on how we want to make sure that you're documenting some of what's happening over there on the Facebook page. So people are going to have to stick around, stay tuned, check back to the Facebook page to see how it goes for Pam while she's in Hogeweyk, or how we end up pronouncing it when Pam gets instructed correctly. We've had quite a few questions pop up here today, Pam. You're becoming very popular, even more so. We've got a YouTube viewer today live. We're live on YouTube and on Facebook. Victoria Johnson has been popping in here with some questions. So she wanted to thank you. It said you're an inspiration. She also said thank you for the information about GenSight. So that's great. She also asked if you can do a video of the home that you're in now and why you have it set up certain ways and all that. Of course, nobody wants to have a video and show this thing off more than Pam. But Pam and her crew have a lot of work to do. Pam, you want to throw a shout out for volunteers?
I need painters. I need people to help me paint. Oh my gosh. We're at a point now where that's got to be done before we can lay the flooring. So yeah, I need painters. Oh my goodness. Big time.
Yeah. Well, and we'll put Pam's contact info back up there again. But Victoria said it might help us in appropriate environments for our own loved ones to help keep them safe and happy too. So
absolutely. That's the goal.
That's a great point.
I teach class, and I will, as soon as the floors are in, I'll be teaching again. Only this time I'm going to be able to show you all the tricks that I did in my home to make it safe. I mean, things that I did because he couldn't hit the potty, or he tried to go out the window, pee out the window kind of stuff. Different things that I learned along the way, the hard way, because there was no to-do book out there like that. I'm going to actually show you what it looks like and how you do it. It changed my life totally, from getting up in the middle of the night and doing sheets and the whole 9 yards to being up for probably about 10 minutes and not even turning the lights on and going back to bed. So things that I learned along the way are in this home. And that's going to be a big part of the training class that I do, because I do have one specifically on what can you do to your home to make it safer for those you love, for sure.
We often do say that Pam is certified, but in this case, it means she's certified to teach lots of good things, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah.
Another question from Andy Gosnell Johnson asking about when the Parkinson's boxing class is and where. And Andy, we responded back to let you know you can visit rocksteadyboxing.org. It doesn't matter where you are when you see this, by the way. You don't have to be in Roseburg. You can pop on to rocksteadyboxing.org and find the class nearest you. It's got time and location and registration information there for Rocksteady Boxing. So thank you for the question from Andy. And then Angela came in with this comment. Love to get your take on this, Pam. as she responded to some of what you were talking about. Your nursing background is so important in this, the things that you've learned there as well. And so you might be able to have a pretty educated conversation here on Angela's point as well.
Yeah, she's right on. She is right on what, on the cognitive disorder, and using those drugs is just plain wrong. The side effects are terrible on those drugs. They're not necessary. I mean, my training has proved that it's not necessary. So, and I've gotten to do with doctors too, not just, because I brought up, they go, well, doctors, that's what they're about, drugs and surgery. And I said, well, that may be fine, but drugs are not for everybody. And it's definitely not for people that have dementia, Alzheimer's, even brain injury. These poor guys that are under the bridges, the vets that are down there, they have post-traumatic stress. They have brain injury. They have, more often than not, early onset dementia, and they're being treated like criminals. They're walking around the streets, sleeping on the streets, when these people really need to have dementia care. They don't understand. One of the things that happens is you lose your filter for what's safe and what's not safe. So in their minds, they think they're okay on the street, sleeping in hot temperatures or freezing and that type of thing. It's only because they don't have the ability to make that determination. So they need to be treated like they have dementia instead of, giving them these antipsychotic drugs that just, for an awful lot of them, as you can see the results, they're screaming and yelling and running around with no shirt and sleeping on the sidewalks and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, there's a lot to what I'm doing. There's many, many, many components. And as we go on to the village on 99, we're going to concentrate on veterans with post-traumatic stress and, do some animal therapy treatment and that type of thing. So this concept is going to do nothing except increase and get bigger and bigger and bigger as we can prove it, because that's what everybody wants. Prove it's going to work. I can prove it's going to work. Hogeweyk is going to help me prove it's going to work because it's worked for them. Why not us? And I was told it doesn't work for us because we're not the same. And last time I looked at me like we're all the same, just in a different country. But yeah, there's really an awful lot to this. That's why I do these podcasts, because it's got to get out. People have to understand the status quo is not right. It has to change for everybody's sake, for the caregiver and for the person with dementia. Because right now, it's not good. It's financially devastating. It's emotionally devastating. And it's just horrible. It's horrible what we do to our people.
All right. I want to make sure people know that they can reach out to you at pam@forgetmenotVillage.org. That's one place, of course. Visit forgetmenotvillage.org as well to see the new and improved and spectacular website. And then one more time, just wanted to put out a little plug here again for the Hogeweyk Dementia Village, as they say, care concept. This website, you can take a look at it, obviously, and see the information that's available. I mean, this is beautiful. You saw it in the video, but just look at the way it's laid out, and obviously major investment happening there. And the scale for what Pam wants to do is not quite this large, but it is as significant. I think just size, square footage wise, for instance, Pam, but still so many things very, very similar to what Pam has been talking about. And this website has quite a bit of information here. And they've been doing this, look at that, since 1993, and maybe even, you can visit that. We'll put the URL back up there one more time before we head out. And so last thing, Pam, as you kind of get ready here in the next 2 weeks to go to Amsterdam and see this, you have a deadline, I would assume, to try to get as much done as you can in the house, the painting that you talked about. What other kinds of things are right in front of you that you might be able to invite people to be a part of, or message that you want to send out to people as you get ready to go to Amsterdam?
Yeah, I invite them to come and see the home. It's not done yet, but you can see what we're doing. We can see what's happening and how it's going to feel. And we are located right across from the airport. on 2028 Northeast Airport Road in Roseburg. Yes, it's Greg Kovach's house. I did buy that house. He is also staying on with his wife to be Parkinson's boxing coaches, which I'm really happy for that. And as we speak, we're putting the fencing around the pool so that it's safe for anyone walking around back there. But I invite you just to come and take a look, knock on my door and say, let me see what you're doing. Because one of our families passed away, one of our rooms is available. It is not for an individual person. It is for a family, a husband and wife, mom and daughter, whatever kind of situation, not little kids. We can't do that yet. But because of the fact that she broke her hip and passed away, there is a room available. So anyway, if you'd like to come and take a look to see what we're doing and be a part of this absolutely exciting adventure that we're involved in, of course, donations are always welcome. This has been a little expensive, but you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. It's something I'm totally committed to because of what I've been through. And when we get done, we should be the talk of the town for sure.
You can see Pam's story and you can see more about what she's describing at forgetmenotvillage.org. The Forget Me Not Village mini project is front and center on the website, so take a look at that. Well, Pam, we're gaining ground. We had more people today watching the program and asking questions, which is totally the point of this whole thing. We would love to see people share this to others who might need more information or inspiration, or possibly have somebody with dementia or one of these debilitating and difficult conditions, to be able to learn and connect with Pam and her resources. So if you would share this out, make sure other people see it. Let's spread the word that this is happening. One more thing from Angela as we head out the door. Teepa Snow is incredible. Indeed, and Teepa's had a huge influence on Pam, and I would think probably the same is true for Teepa. Pam's probably influenced her a few times as well. And you can find Teepa on YouTube, Indeed, for redirecting and reducing stress, the patient caregiver, and all the other things that Teepa has done in her life to help people in similar situations to what Pam went through. So, Pam,
I will be teaching class again when I come back from Amsterdam. I hope the flooring will be in. As soon as the flooring is in, I'm going to teach again, and it is for families and it is free. So, I'm going to do it again.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we will see you on the other side of your big trip in our next Streamcast here, and it'll be great. And I'm looking forward to that, obviously. And something is telling me that actually we have another one before you go.
No.
Okay. All right. There I go again. I don't have a calendar in front of me or somebody directing traffic. So my producer in my ear is telling me that we're done. All right, Pam, you rock. Great show. Thanks for the comments, everybody. That's really fun. Love all that interaction. So,
yay.
All right, Pam. Well, get ready. We'll see you in a little while for our little workout over there.
Yes. You need to come at 5 o'clock tonight and watch Brian box. It's kind of fun.
No, not. All right, Pam.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.